Welcome back to the 2025 Tire Rack One Lap of America, presented by Grassroots Motorsport Magazine, with coverage brought to you by HP Tuners. Brian and I are joined by none other than Jason Stromowski and Randy Mother EFIN Pobst, as it says in his word here. How you doing, Randy and Jason? Welcome.
Doing great.
Glad to be here, team. I'm pretty friendly with Grassroots Motorsports too. I write a column in there, so we're in a sense, I'm sponsoring you, Solomon. How about that?
Well, we can talk about that. Are you really? Because we still pay for our ads as that last check.
Oh. PR, promotion, making you famouser.
There you go. We'll go on there. But welcome. It's great to see you, gentlemen. Lovely to have you. Obviously, this is like, Randy, you've been doing this for a while. Jason, you as well. What number of years is this for either of you, respectively?
This one for me, it's going to be my fifth.
Okay. And Randy,
I think I'm on number 6.
Right? Yes, you're one in front of me.
And I'm here because of Jason. And all the last 4 years were all because of him. He gave up his seat for me, and then he joined us as a teammate. And I wouldn't be here without Jason. So thank you, teammate. You're the best.
There we go. So I guess, Randy, I'll start with this question. Why? What about this crazy event has drawn you in, and why do you come back? And I know there's some of the answer, but I'm curious for the fulsome one.
That, I never thought about that. I just had the want. There was something about the one lap that gives me the want, and I think it's the variety and the challenge and the length of it that it's harder than just going to an event for a track day and hanging out. I mean, you've got time pressure, and you've got to think about making your car last and not hurting anything. There's just a lot involved, and my brain likes to have a lot to chew on when it comes to driving cars fast. And I think that's why. But why am I back? My first was in 1995. And I don't think you were even born yet, Solomon. And
you are old. It is true.
I am back, believe it or not, because my career has slowed down.
We're plan B for lots of people.
That's a fact. I mean, I always wanted to do it every year since 95, but I always had a pro racing commitment, and I could never get away for 8 days, really more like 10 by the time you get in and out and everything else. So that's a tough fight for a lot of people. And when you're racing, these racing dates professionally are a hard commitment. There's just no way out.
Yep.
And I'm not racing professionally as much. There's still a couple of crazy people that pay me to drive their cars, but that's why I have time. I've always wanted to do it more, and thanks to Jason and my schedule, here I am to have great fun on the road racing tracks.
Nice. And Jason, why do you keep asking him back?
That's a good question.
Crickets.
We do have a lot of fun, especially in the car, in the transits between locations. We do get along very well, and I think that's a key point of One Lap 2 is you need a teammate that you get along with, because it could be a long ride if you don't get along with someone. I remember the conversations sometimes with Enrique were fun, weren't they, Randy?
Yes,
getting some debates on things, and you kind of look at each other and just laugh and go, okay, we don't need to talk about that anymore. It could be a real long ride.
First year we had Neil Simon on board too, our friend who's a regular on the One Lap, and wow, he's got a great wit. He's very funny. He's caustic. He's offensive, and he's a joy to be around. And he's still giving me a hard time about the damn skid pad.
As he should.
We all give you a hard time about the skid pad, Randy.
I blame the cars. All 5 different ones.
They're all the car's fault.
Didn't Brock beat you on the same car in one of the skid pads?
Probably. Didn't
Brock beat him
everybody?
in a minivan in one of the skid pads.
Hey,
But it
the
had
minivan
rain
thing
tires on it though,
is
probably.
No, it didn't.
right. Here's something I have learned from one lap. On a wet skid pad, a normal minivan street tire is a hot setup because it works ice cold on that 44-degree morning at Tire Rack South Bend's headquarters. Yeah.
It does do well, and plus they're a lot thinner than what you're running generally on the sports cars, so it helps displace water a lot more efficiently instead of yep. All right, Brian, go ahead.
So Randy, your racing career is actually coming up almost on 50 years. I remember in my teenage years watching you at the runoffs every year at Road Atlanta, and then following you through World Challenge, everything. Now you're running Pikes Peak, and you still find your way back to running Volvo station wagons. What is the fascination with the Moose?
I have my own endurance racing car that I run in Lucky Dog Race Series. We've been in Champ Car and in Lemons with it too, and it's an old Volvo, a 90 740. It's not a wagon. I wish it was. I do have a hot rod Volvo wagon in my garage, though, that's very, very nice. And the reason is that when I always wanted to do budget endurance. Like Lemons, 24 Hours of Lemons is kind of the ones that started it. They were supposed to be $500. And at the very beginning, they were. Now they're more like 50,000, but that's the racing spiral. And at the time, which was around 2012, I was driving for Volvo, factory contract, believe it or not. And that's why if I had a car of my own, it kind of had to be a Volvo. On the other hand, I've always loved them. They come with turbo engines, they're rear-wheel drive, they got good brakes, and they're sleepers. And my partner, Sam Collier, who builds the engines and everything, he really loves that idea of going out with a Volvo and picking on Porsche GT3s and Roush Mustangs and whatever unsuspecting car lover might show up. It is fun, but I don't recommend it. It's not easy racing a Volvo. Nobody makes anything for 740s. Well, okay, one or two crazy people.
So do you know how Volvo got started in the United States?
Wait a minute.
Let's see here.
Well, I know Volvo started in the 50s with the 444 and the 544. And from your question, I'm going to, what's the word, deduce that it has something to do with rally, because the 544 was a good rally car. No.
Nope. So Volvo was owned by SKF, so the bearing company. And SKF needed a way to bring their product into the United States. So what they did is they started importing the cars here, so this way they could have the outfit, the pathway to then start getting the bearings here into the United States. So the company Volvo started as an SKF project.
Wow, I did not know that. Yeah. That's cool.
The only reason I know that is because of a very obscure book about SKF, which I picked up years ago while doing some work for them. So it's a fun little nugget there that most people don't realize.
Yeah, I have no idea. I love it.
That was the
I
foray.
liked SKF because they used to be a sponsor at, or maybe still are, at Skip Barber Racing School.
Yep.
I was a teacher there in 1989 to 95 roughly, and I remember seeing SKF bearings. That made it A-OK by me.
And a fun fact about them, they are the longest continuously running sponsor in Formula One with Ferrari.
Oh. Wait, so Ferrari's sponsor?
Ferrari is sponsored by SKF. So if you look at the bottom of the Ferrari.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Yep. So they are the longest standing sponsor in Formula One.
Wow.
Fun things that you didn't know you'd learn today.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the questions. So obviously a very long and storied racing career. And the challenge of the one lap, it's changed throughout the years. We've heard from some people in terms of, yeah, I mean, back in '95 when you did it, it was considerably longer, and then now it's considerably shorter. Which do you prefer and why?
I like driving racetracks. That's the main reason I want to do the one lap. I think is because there's so many racetracks crammed into the time. And I want to do all the track days I can. So do one lap, you squeeze all these track days into a relatively short period of time. When else are you going to be on 7 or 8 tracks in 7 days?
Mhm.
Never. And so I like it I like the shorter transits. The long ones are a challenge, but sometimes you look at each other, right, Jason, and go, "Are we having fun yet? How many hundred more miles is it?"
Well, last year we started out with what the three of the first days were 700 miles plus each day.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad, but third day it starts wearing on you a little bit.
In track seats.
Yeah, well, that's part of it, right?
Yep.
We were just talking with John Harrison, former cannonballer and friend, and he was talking about his experience in the LMO2 way back when in the Lambo, their original SUV, and he was saying how the thing was so tight inside and had true bucket seats you couldn't even cross your legs. So that was when they had to do all around the country, and that was not comfortable. That was a pain, he was saying.
Wow, that's brave.
Mm-hmm.
I
Other words were
recently bought
used.
one of those. That's the Lamborghini off-road SUV Jeep thing.
Yep.
LMO2.
Yep.
Yeah, cool car with a V12. V12 or flat 12? I think
It was a V12. Yeah, because it was the same
Cool
that they were
car.
using later in the Diablo and a few other things, right?
And they
But
drove that. What was one lap in those days?
it was the time distance all the way from Darien all the way around the country. It was 2 weeks.
Wow. I
Yep.
don't know, Jason. You up
We
for
could
that?
do it. I don't remember that. My first one lap was in 19, so not that far back.
Nope.
What were you in 19?
What's that?
Jason,
What were you
what were
driving
you
in
driving?
19?
Oh, Enrique and I drove my Shelby 350R.
Nice. How'd it go?
Wasn't bad. We had a lot of rain. I remember Hastings, Nebraska. I think there was a lot of offs there into the soybeans. It was a little muddy, and I think Travis Pastrana was out in front of me, and I think he was clipping the corners a little bit and throwing some mud in the track on top of the rain, so it was a little slippery when I was behind him. But we did okay. I think we were 21st that year between Enrique and I.
Travis plays dirty. We all know that.
Yeah, he
All
does.
right. All right, Brian, go for it.
Wild and crazy guy.
Yep. So tell us a little bit about your charity this year that you're supporting and how you guys became involved with this charity. I'm sure a lot of our people know it, but the people that have not seen the video
Sure.
deserve to hear the story.
Sure. A number of years ago, we got involved with the American Cancer Society. My wife was battling breast cancer. My dad was battling prostate cancer. My mother-in-law was battling ovarian cancer. So all three at the same time. So we got, personally, in my family, got involved in American Cancer Society to help raise money for many reasons, just to help find a cure and also to help where people may not be able to get, exams done because they don't have the money, to help raise money for that as well, so people can get there and get an early diagnosis and help, give them the best fighting chance. And then years later, I became friends with Enrique Ramirez, and he was battling cancer as well, and he was at Road America, one of the business development people there. And that's how I got to one lap the first time. We were having dinner, and we were discussing his cancer with my wife and his wife, and going through everything. And he convinced me to do one lap, and great experience the first year. And so after that, Enrique and I became very involved in American Cancer Society in various organizations that support it. And then Randy, you're a survivor as well. So
Yep.
it really, how I got really involved was through Enrique, raising money for that. And I do a event, this year, the 21st event, 21st year of the event. It's called Drive at Road America. And we've raised over $1.2 million for American Cancer Society over the 20 years. We started doing that event when it was virtually impossible to get your streetcar on a track. And we kind of viewed it as a golf outing, but you drive your car on the racetrack and set up a golf ball on the golf course. So it's been near and dear to us with raising the money. I'll never give up. It's been great. And another way for us to help promote it is through One Lap, mainly because Enrique, he was such an advocate for it. And unfortunately, I lost him a year and a half ago. And he's always riding with us. Right, Randy?
That's right. We're Enrique tribute. And he was such a great guy, infectious personality, and a hell of a salesman. He was a marketing guy at Road America, right, Jason?
Right.
That's how I met him. And we started talking about One Lap, and I knew he was sick. And he was a good friend. He visited me in Atlanta with his son, Eric. And it was, to me, it was like, if I'm going to do this with Enrique, we better get it done. But the only way it was possible back in 20, 21.
21, because 20 we missed it, right?
Yes.
Jason gave up his seat for me so I could do it with Enrique. But then we all did it together 2 more times.
Right.
The last time, year before last, Enrique was really sick. He was a trooper, and he got sick enough he had to go to the hospital halfway through. But we had a close competition. We were in a Hellcat red-eye Charger from a throttle stop up in Elkhart Lake, and we're fighting against a Golf R. And we come down to the last event, and I have this reputation well earned for being lousy on the skid pad. And we had to beat the Golf R on the skid pad, where the Golf R is really, really good. And Enrique made it back, and I said, "Tell you what, Enrique, I suck at skid pad. You drive." He's like, no way, not doing it. I can't even turn my head. He'd had his head or his neck fused. I'm like, okay, whatever you want. You should do this. And he came back a half an hour later. All right, I'll do it. And he borrowed my helmet, and he went out there, and he won the event for us. He beat the Golf R, which was enough to give us enough points to win the class. In what were we in, the Hellcat Red Eye?
Mid-price sedans, I think that was a class.
Mid-price sedan. It was a good choice for that class, by the way. So it was an unbelievable storybook ending. Enrique wins the class for us, and in his beloved One Lap, which he'd done 15 times. Jason is.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And just 2 or 3 months later, we lost him. And so it's real sentimental now to be Team Enrique, have our buddy with us in spirit. And, this cancer thing's a big deal. I had prostate cancer 12 years ago. Without some charities like the American Cancer Society, maybe I wouldn't be here because of the advancements made in treatments. It's way better than it was. I got this focused beam radiation, and I'm going to come right and tell the public, come right out, don't have surgery. It's not the best program. I'm sorry if I offend you, but that's what I learned, and it really worked for me.
Excellent. So obviously, yes, and you're right. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, we were able to get everybody on here with Enrique. If you recall, we did an interview, and that was a poignant one, and we can go back and watch that one as well. But he is very much missed, and part of the spirit of the One Lap, as we unfortunately over the years and as time moves on have had a few depart, but always part of the fabric and the underlying fabric of the event itself, all the personalities over the years. So certainly one of the big ones that is missed. So turning our attention to this year, there you go, Brian. Love it. So mine's
I
downstairs.
hate that, by the way. That's another team running joke. I'm not big on cussing, even though I did earlier. So there you know
Yes.
how much integrity I have. And he's like, oh, it's not cuss words. It's fight, like, fight cancer. What's the FK?
Fight kidney cancer.
Fight kidney cancer. That's it. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, it's just my dirty mind.
It's true. You've turned into an old dirty man, Randy.
Yeah,
So
Or if you read it the other way, it's passion
there you
behind
go.
it.
passion, because we're mad at it.
Either way, it's an appropriate sentiment.
Yes.
And the French word is absolutely fine. So turning the attention to this year a bit, what are you taking? What are you doing? What's the plan?
Well, we've been looking around for a car to go partner with, and this guy we know hooked us up with Roush Performance. And so we're going to have a supercharged Mustang, a Roush Stage 3, and really looking forward to that. It's going to be cool. It's a manual too, right, Jason?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, for real drivers.
Yep. So now you have to do two things around the skid pad. So it's, you have to
Wait a minute,
shift
they're shifting.
and balance.
Is that my problem?
I think
I've been
so.
riding around there
You got to be able to do this in
problem.
order to make it work. It's,
That's why I'm doing it this year.
there you go.
You're a skid pad man, Jason.
As long as we're not skid mark men, that's fine. So before I turn it over to Brian, Randy, I'll ask you something. So you are big on geometry. So earlier you've talked about sort of the racing spiral. You have your vortex of danger. What other terms are we missing here?
Well, how about anti-squat? Because rear suspension geometry is critical to putting down power. And we got a Mustang that's going to make over 700 horsepower through only the rear wheels. And that's one of the great things about a pony car. Pony cars are really how God intended cars to be. Front engine, powerful, rear drive, sporty coupes. That's really how God intended cars to be. And for some reason, they're just so much fun to drive. I think part of it is they got a little longer polar moment, more geometry. You've got a lot of your mass in the front. So the car tends to move a little bit more slowly. It's an easier car to get drifty with. In a lot of ways, it's a really, really fun car to drive. That's why pony cars, one of the reasons pony cars have been popular for all these years.
Yeah, affordable fun without any question about it. And, assuming there's no crowds around you, even better. I mean, it's all right, Brian, go for it.
Cars and coffee, yeah.
So Jason, of course, Randy has driven every patch of asphalt in our great country. Give me 2 or 3 tracks in America that you have not driven that you want to get onto and experience.
I would say Sonoma would be one. I've been out there so many times. I do a lot of work in California, and I go to a lot of events out there with customers, and just being out there and seeing the track, every time I'm out there, I try to get on the track, and it just never works because it's last minute. But that's one track I do want to be on sooner than later. Other tracks. The Daytona track would be fun. That would be, you watch the 24 hours of Daytona, see the track, and I've never been on that before. And probably the last one, probably Laguna Seca. Also, just the history of it, or even Mosport, that too. So it's 4. Sorry. As you know, so I'm in Wisconsin, so it's like the far reaches away from me that is kind of a little harder to get to.
Well, if you do Daytona, make sure you have a squirt bottle in the car with you that you can use for other things if needed.
I got that reference. I went had to make an emergency potty stop while driving in the 24 hours of Daytona. We had a little bottle on board. Yep. It was under yellow. It was under yellow.
You were the bottle.
Yes.
And it was a little messy, but I didn't have to pit. And I did not want to pit and go to the end of the line. No way. The racer in me would not allow that. But, you know, I had to go to the bathroom so bad. It was going to happen one way or another. And I discovered this spray bottle in the car that we were going to use to emergency window clearing.
Yep.
Because soapy water will dissipate fog on the windshield. And at the time, that was a real problem. We did not have a good defroster. And it worked.
So, racing secrets you can only get here. So forget about the Vortex of Danger. We've got the bottle of whiz. Anyway, relief. There you go.
So afterwards, did that work on the window then?
I can't remember if I warned the next guy.
Yeah.
That was a tough race. Let me tell you, it rained so much, and our wiper was on backwards. In a Porsche 911 GT3 car at the time, when the wipers parked, there was only one. And when it's parked, it looked like the little deflector was correct. But when that wiper goes to the other side, the deflector is now the wrong way. So halfway across the windshield,
So it's
the
lifting
wiper
up.
is lifting off. Yes. And our defroster wasn't working well. And so the car would go about 167 miles an hour too. That's one of the great things about Daytona, Jason, is you'll probably get a higher top speed there than you will on any other track. Really long straightaway coming off the high bank, turn 4. And so we couldn't see. It's not a good feeling going 168 miles an hour and knowing if there's somebody stopped or slow, you're going to hit them at that speed because you can only see out the side windows. It
Right.
was not good. It was
Well,
not
you know what
good.
there is no substitute, Randy, for a bottle full of relief.
Yes. Well, and we run street cars, or at least Jason and I have street cars that have air conditioning and good defrosters and heaters. I know some of the one-lap competitors run race cars with nothing.
Hmm.
I admire that. I really do.
You know, it's interesting because we have obviously shorter routes now, but we used to have real proper race cars. I think the last crazy race car that I saw were the Mongooses in 08. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. So Anthony Magnoli was in one, and and then John Krolowitz was in another one, right? And
I know him too.
yep, and those were some
solo guy, Track Night in America for many years. He's been running that, or was.
Yep. And those I think were the last proper kind of crazy cars. I would put those in the same category of the Consiglières that Brock would take and that used to go in the event. But since then we've had more sort of high-strung road cars than we have real crazy race cars. Am I missing any, Brian?
You are.
What's that?
Jack and the Atom.
It's true.
Last year, or was it year before? Last 2 years, the S2000. Remember that?
Yeah, but that's still mostly an S2000 with just some Frankensteining going on, right?
Yeah. We had the guys from BC last year bring the Factory 5.
But they didn't make it very far.
No, they died at Hastings.
Yeah.
And what did Scott Robertson run last year?
That's true. The Cardinal. That's
The
right.
Cardinals.
Yes.
And they're coming back this year with 3. We had the Cardinal Conclave on, and yep.
Wow.
Yep. So that'll be a good time. So I stand corrected. We do have some interesting things out there. That's right. I sit
The
corrected.
Cardinal is a cool car. It's small, light, not like modern cars in any other way. It's very much like a 60s. Kind of reminds me of a Ferrari 250 GTO in a way, with a 4-cylinder EcoBoost.
Yeah. No, I tried that at the dry skid pad, and I figured, how hard can this thing be to really break loose? And oops, forget it. I tried every dang trick that I had in the book, and it just didn't want it to go. It just stuck.
I think some of the new modern.
Traction.
I think some of the new modern cars are getting so good that maybe that's why people are going to them more. The creature comforts are there, and the performance out of the new cars.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, look, take something like the Civic Type R, right? I mean, the Civic Type R is developing as much horsepower as Ferraris did 20 years ago.
Yeah,
And that's very telling. So,
it's so true.
and you've got
It's
the Honda warranty.
Right.
our Mustang, 700 horsepower. Nothing had 700 horsepower 20 years ago. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Drag
I mean,
car, maybe.
well, I mean, what was it? The Jaguar XJ220 and the F40, right? I mean, even those were pumping out those numbers, and that was the 200 mile an hour, bell of the ball, right?
Supercar, yeah.
Yep. Yep. So it is the horsepower to dollar ratio is certainly in our favor these days. But Randy, what would you know? Because you're in an electric vehicle. I mean, right now you're in a Tesla.
I'm sitting in a Tesla.
So tell us briefly what the experiment is with this car.
Well, number one, the reason I got a Tesla is I do a lot of journalistic things online. I do Haggerty videos with Jason Camisa. I'm writing articles, and I wanted to learn about the electric car experience. And so I bought the car. The car I'm in is an old Tesla, 2012, beautiful condition. And when I was looking at it, it was about 2.5 years ago. And this was the cheapest good Tesla that I ever saw. It was $26,000. Guess what? Within days of my purchase, Tesla lowered the prices of all their cars a lot. And guess what? The aftermarket went right with it. My car that I'd owned for 3 days, bought for $26,000, thought I got a good deal, is now worth, or was worth 16. Boom. Okay, fast forward.
For
to
more stock
now.
tips, follow Randy at Skid Pad Success Stories at Instagram.
So now we've got the Tesla situation that you see in the news, and I think the car's down to about 7,000 or 8,000 now. So, but on the other hand, I enjoy driving it. It's quiet, smooth, powerful. It's got good range. It handles really well. I really have no complaints. And my old Tesla has free supercharging. So the miser in me loves plugging this thing in for nothing.
So are you
I
charging
love it.
right now?
No, I'm not plugged in. I ought to be.
He's
I'm
discharging.
in the shade. It's discharging rapidly. Yeah. No, it's got a big battery.
That's what all the girls say. All right, Brian, we got a couple more minutes here.
Oh gosh, a big battery. So where would you like to see the future of one lap go? You want to go back? Would you like to see the longer transits, a change in geography, or what would you like to see different 5, 6 years from now?
Well, I feel like we're leaving out part of the country. I love the shorter transits, but it would be cool to have a version for the West Coast or maybe even Northeast. That could include Motorsport, maybe, or Lime Rock, Club Motorsports up in New Hampshire, I think it is. That would be cool because in the old days, it was more cowboy. They were so long, we got so tired. It really was kind of dangerous. And to be more human and get some real sleep in the evening, at least 6 hours anyway. Used to be we'd go overnight and run the next morning, right? I remember that.
Yeah, we'd show up at the gates, and if you were lucky, you had you could stop by some really terrible motel to grab a shower, and then you're sleeping in front of the gate for an hour.
Right. And it's a great challenge, but dang, it's kind of dangerous driving that tired. So this is a better format, but I'd like to see versions that are doable, shorter transits, which means like going out west and doing some of those cool tracks, going up in the Northeast, doing some of those.
Well,
Ever think of that?
Occasionally, But we'll see. We might have some announcements. In the previous video with John Harrison, we talked about what we should be, what we may be announcing at the drivers' meeting this year. So stay tuned. It should be a lot of fun. All right. So managing expectations as we move into the final couple questions here for this year. One, where do you think you'll come this year? And two, any sponsors that you'd like to pay homage to before we wrap up? What's the goal?
Goal is to always win, of course, but I think we'll be pretty competitive in our class for sure.
Okay.
It's gonna be the was it Big Bore?
SS GT2, right?
Yes, GT2 Big Bore. Yes.
Yep.
It is a stacked class, so this year it's gonna be tight, but it's gonna be fun.
Okay.
We got a deal through our friends' connections with Roush Performance, and we're going to be driving a Roush Mustang. It's a stage 3, so it's got this Roush supercharger package on it, and we're going to need it. We're going to need everything we got, and they've got a whole Roush suspension setup, so we're running the car as delivered, and we're going to be on Continental tires, which is what they come on. And these Continentals we're running are the ones that are famous for being incredibly good in the wet.
The ECSs, right?
Yes. Is that right? That's right, isn't it,
Jason? ECS Sport 2, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's part of the package, and we're going to be praying for rain. That'll help us. But the goal is to win the class. And we got 4 in a row winning the class.
Yep.
And I think this year might be the toughest yet because there's some really terrific competition. But like I also said, it's one of the most fun cars to drive because it's a big front engine, rear drive, pony car, coupe. Most of the stuff in the class is going to be a lot like that.
Yeah. So outside of Roush Performance and Continental, the aforementioned, I know Randy, you do a lot with Hawk. Are they coming aboard this year to help out?
Probably.
Maybe.
Well, we've just confirmed the deal with Roush.
Okay.
So I'm still calling my buddies and see if we can get everybody together on this. So we're still working on Hawk Performance. I've had them in every car the last 4 years and love them. We usually run the DGC 60 compound because these cars are powerful enough that even on a 3-lap time session that we do, you need real race brake pads.
No, yeah.
The Mustang's going to have the upgrade brakes on it. I think they're Mustang brakes, right, Jason?
Yeah, they're the Brembo package that comes on the Mustangs.
Yeah, but you need a track pad. And so we're going to have it. I guess the biggest question is where we have to break down and actually buy them. You should, and everybody else, because it's good stuff.
There we go. Well, gentlemen, we're very much looking forward to seeing you in South Bend in just over a week and a half. We'll be descending on the Four Winds Casino Resort for our new host hotel. We'll catch up with you there. We'll take a look at this beautiful car. I know it's something I'd love to see as well. Fancy some Roush vehicles. We've done some work with them in the past. They're a soft spot of mine. But thank you so much for joining us today and for the time.
Okay.
And so for the 2025 Tire Rack One Lap of America, presented by Grassroots Motorsport Magazine, with coverage this year brought to you by HP Tuners. I'm Solomon, it's Bryan, and there's Jason and Randy, Mother EFIN Pobst. Thanks so much for joining us. Take care.
Very. Whoa! I crashed my tractor.